In this particular video, we're going to focus on action events. An action event is the most common or simple event type in Swing to represent an action occurring on a GUI component. It's typically created by button clicks, checking a checkbox or unchecking a checkbox, clicking a menu, or pressing enter in a text field, for example. An example here would be a JButton object, when clicked, generates an action event object, which is handled by an action listener, an object whose class implements this interface. Okay, so we have this action listener waiting to hear an action from the J button, and when the J button is clicked, it generates a particular action which the listener is just waiting for. And depending on what that action is, the listener will perform a particular type of activity or function. So if we take a look closer at the actual approach of listening for events, we create a component, for example a J button, we add it to the container, so for example the J panel. We register a listener to be notified when the component generates an event. That's known as an action listener. And then we define the callback method, which is the action performed method. So that's where we put our code for what we want the particular method to do when that button is clicked. That goes into the action performed method, and that calls back to the action listener, which is waiting for the event on the J button. Let's take a look at that as a Java implementation. So here we have just a regular main class. We've created a JFrame, frame equals new JFrame, so we have this JFrame called frame. We've set the size and the content pane and the layout. We create a JButton called myButton, and then we add the JButton to the container. So frame.add myButton and frame.setVisibleTrue. So now the JFrame is visible. The JButton then needs to generate an event. So we create an action listener, and we add that action listener to the button. So now the button is listening for something to happen. Okay? On the other side then, in the action listener class, we've got an action performed method which tells the J button what to do. It creates a J option pane which says event occurred. So this button causes the alert message event occurred when it's clicked. Now, it's important to remember as well, a lot of this NetBeans will handle for us because we don't have to create the dimensions of our button or our frame. We don't have to use code to add the action listeners, okay? NetBeans, when we use the drag and drop interface to add all of the components to our GUI, will do a lot of this for us.